Hey, what's going on, boxing and basketball fans? It's Sean with boxingandbasketball.com, and I'm here with my co-host Matthew Rayner. What's going on, Matthew?
Another week. We're trucking through Monday, but it's my favorite time of the day when I get a chance to talk a little hoops with you.
All right, there we go, man. It's been doing good, man. Man, our shorts, our videos everywhere have been taking off, doing pretty good, slowly building up. Man, by the end of this year, man. Matter of fact, me and you talked the other day, just letting all y'all fans know out there, there's supposed to be some updates here to StreamYard, and when they do that, I think there's going to be a possibility we'll be able to. I don't know if they're going to do like a phone number style where you can call in, but if not, we'll eventually start having we'll have people in the participation room, so we'll start letting y'all chime in one at a time. We'll get around to that. Give us about a month or two to get our feet wet first. All right, Matthew, the first thing up, we're going to talk about Dennis Schroeder being suspended 3 games for allegedly throwing a punch at Luka because Luka called him out his name on the court. And I guess some people just got to realize they don't like to be called out their name, right? And some people will take it that far. I remember a similar situation with Kevin Garnett and Carmelo Anthony.
Oh
Remember that?
yeah, I
Talking
remember
about
that.
Layla and Cheerios and all that.
I think
Uh,
Kevin Garnett kind of got away with that one though. I don't think Melo bucked up to him if I remember
no,
right.
no. From my understanding, Melo went looking for them. Like
Oh, okay.
yeah. From what I heard, he went to go look for him, and they held him back from going over to that locker room.
Okay, but Sean,
Uh,
who you think's gonna win in that fight, KG or Melo?
Melo.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. I think
Oh yeah.
me and the most of the rest of the world would pick KG in that fight.
No, no, no. He didn't have enough weight on him. He was skin and bones. Melo's solid, man. And from New York too. I don't think he was I think he would have got him.
Man, I remember that one time Melo got in a fight. I think it was either New Year's 2006 or 2007, one of those years. And he hit the guy. I think it was Nate Robinson he hit. Then he ran halfway across the court. He hit him when Nate, I'm pretty sure it was Nate. He hit him when he wasn't looking. Then he backpedaled,
Are we
backpedaled, backpedaled.
we talking about the same Nate Robinson that got knocked out by Jake Paul?
Yes, yes. Melo hit him and ran away. I'm telling you, he got the hell out of Dodge. So I don't know if you're running away from Nate Robinson. Could you take on Kevin Garnett? I don't know, man. I'm just asking questions, bro.
Oh man, you know what? I'm gonna have to find that clip. Uh,
Find
go
that
ahead.
clip because it's if you're Melo, I bet Melo watches that clip and he's embarrassed these days. But I'm picking KG. But anyway,
Oh man, all right. While we doing that, I'm looking at. So with
Schroeder.
all right, yeah, dealing with shooter, right?
Mhm.
Um, well, I mean, what do you think about that? There must be some truth to it, right? Because some kind of way it got back to where he got suspended for 3 games. So there must have been some truth for him taking a swing on Luca.
So,
And do you think Luca really means it, or is it all just in playing part of the game with Luca?
so I was watching that game live because, as you know, I'm a Kings fan. I hate myself. I watch every single one of their games, all 39 of their 9-30 record. And so I saw that happen live. Luka and Schroeder were chirping back and forth at each other all game. And we
Uh-huh.
talked about this in a previous episode. You can be a fighter, you can be a lover, but you got to
Right.
call it from the beginning and you got to be what you are. Luka was talking at him the whole time. And we said, you don't call someone's name. What's the other thing you don't do? You don't talk about someone's bread. You don't talk about someone's paper. And they say what the rumor is, and we don't actually know what's going on in those courts. That Luka was making fun of Schroeder because everyone knows he had that 4-year, $80 million contract with the Lakers. He turned down, and
Uh-huh.
Luka was saying should have signed that contract, chirping at him, and you could see during the game, you could tell Schroeder, like you could tell to Luka was a game, and to
Right.
Schroeder it wasn't a game. You could tell even on the court that he was furious.
Right.
So I don't know if Luka came up to him afterwards, tried to dap him up, say, "Hey, that's just the court, that's just smack talk." But I could have told you that Schroeder wasn't going to be having that. And according to Schroeder, if we're just being cryptic on the Instagram comments,
Hmm.
I don't think he attempted to hit him in the locker room or in the
Okay.
tunnel. I think he actually hit him,
Oh.
and I know Luka's bigger than Schroeder, but I don't think Luka's really about that. I think Schroeder, he's small but feisty. And if
Yeah.
you're asking me Schroeder versus Luka, I'm taking Schroeder by TKO. No. I'm taking Schroeder by abandonment because I think Luka's turning his back. I don't think he's really about that. I think he
Oh
wants to
man.
chirp on the court. He wants to chirp at his teammates. He wants to chirp at the refs, but I don't think he's really about them hands. So I believe that Schroeder might have actually put hands on him.
Oh man. Listen, it's possible. The only way we're going to get that truth is it's going to be 20 years from now where these NBA players have retired and they're sitting down doing a podcast and somebody's going to bring the story up. But right now, while they're still active and still playing, listen, the most anybody really knows about, if you're not a die-hard NBA fan, you're just a casual. I catch it from time to time. The only thing people, I think, technically kind of remember about Dennis is him blowing that $1 million contract, holding out to get more. And then he ended up getting like pennies on the dollar.
I think he got 1 year, 5 million, and he was supposed to get 4 years, 80. And that's what Luka was
Because he didn't
saying
re-sign, right, with the Lakers, I believe.
with the
Was it the
Lakers.
Lakers? Yeah.
I want to say he was 4 years, 80 with the Lakers, and he ended up getting 1 year, 5 million with the Celtics. And hey, that's got to be pretty embarrassing for him. That's got to be like a real moment in his life. And
Right.
he's had a lot of good moments in basketball, but if you're Luka, you're the biggest star on in the game right now. You play for the Lakers, and you're talking about some role players' money. You're talking about some role players' bag. You got to expect that.
Right.
Like at some point, this ain't a game no more. Like at some point, if you're Schroeder, this cat's trying to embarrass you on national TV. Or I don't know, it's a Kings game. It might not have been national TV. It might have just been on NBC Sports Sacramento. But
yeah,
at some point, you got to draw the line. And maybe that could be a lesson to Luka. Because, hey, man, he be chirping at everybody. Like, he be talking a lot. And I think maybe I'm a hater, but I think people are getting tired of it. I know the refs are getting tired of it. I think his teammates are getting tired of it. And the other players are definitely getting tired of it. So maybe Dennis the Menace taught Luka a valuable lesson about, keeping other people's names out your mouth, not talking about other people's bread.
Right. And look, I think I might, let me see if I can get this to work. Let me click on this share screen. See if I can find it. I think
you got Carmelo running away from Nate Robinson?
Also share tab audio. I'm not going to turn off the audio. I don't know how the whole copyright thing works, but can you see it?
I can see it.
All right, so let's hit play.
This is the person you think's going to beat Kevin Garnett. Let's see. Bro, I forget he used to be able to get to the hoop because at the end of his career, he was so lazy. He would never get to the hoop.
Yeah.
You see, he was always just doing that at the end of his career. Jab, step, jumper. But I forget, there was a time where he could actually get to the rim.
Right.
It feels like a very long time ago. And that's what was frustrating about Carmelo. He didn't play defense, and then at the end of his career, he couldn't get to the hoop either.
Right.
All right, I think it's right here. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, J.R. Smith.
Woo!
Well, keep an eye on Carmelo. And look at him backing up.
He'll just back him a little bit, make sure he didn't hit him, get in range to hit him.
Bro, he backed up all the way to half court.
Hey, look, when you're a smaller guy, right, and a guy can get up underneath of you, you don't want to give him advantage. But he hit him.
He started at the baseline, and he ended up at half court. You talking about he just trying to get in range. Man, he's taking a fight.
He's trying to stay out of range for him to hit him.
Hey, look at the name of the video. Carmelo Fight and Flight. And that's exactly what it is. He hits him in the back of the head, and then he's running backwards. He's running for dear life. Come on, man.
Oh, man. All right, so that was, just so y'all know, that's the way that Matthew Rayner remembers it.
KG by knockout.
All right. So now we're gonna move on to the second subject. We talked about this last time, and somebody commented in our comment section. Somebody said, "Who says that?" And when I told you my boy Carcino always says he was called Anthony Street Clothes Davis, and I said, "Carcino, why you always call that man that?" He said every time you look up, he's in street clothes. He's injured all the time. I'm like, man, you gotta give him a break. And lo and behold, I saw the clip that Anthony Davis has already, he's injured right now. He's already had 18 injuries since being traded and joining the Mavs. Bruh, how long has Anthony Davis been there now, Matthew?
He's been there a season and a half.
And
He got
18
there on the
injuries
back half.
already?
Yeah, I don't know if it's 18. 18 sounds like a lot, but I mean, it really is a tragedy. I mean, not a tragedy. That's a little bit much, but when he's on the court, he's having a pretty good year. I mean, when he's on the court, 20 and 10, 51% shooting. He impacts the game on the defensive side of the ball. But it's just so sad because the pose I'm used to with AD when he gets injured, I'm used to him being on the ground, kind of holding that knee, or that oh my knee kind of look. And so to have like some random injury, like your left hand of all things, to the point where like when it first happened, you could see the comments were all like, "Oh, he's faking it. Like, come on, your hand." But from what I'm reading, he actually like tore something in there. It's like a major injury with ligament damage in his left hand, nerve damage. Could miss a number of months. I mean, that's got to be the worst luck in the world to say, okay, I'm finally good enough. All my horrible knee and back problems, I feel good enough to play.
Yeah.
Then I injure my hand.
Right. So they have here that if you include so they said he's had 6 like major like injuries, right? But he said if you include all the minor strains, soreness, illness, repeated growing abductor tweaks that show up on detail logs, some of the outlets actually got him at 18 separate injuries.
But they all get those little injuries. They all get those little, tweaks and bruises through the year.
What about this though? But 6 in a year and a half? 6
of them. No, I mean that's
a lot.
And that's why the Lakers were willing to get rid of him. Of course, they're willing to get rid of him for Luka Doncic, but the idea that this big man that you won an NBA title with, that was your defensive anchor, you're willing to get rid of him. He just can't stay on the court. And it's a shame because he's probably still a Hall of Famer, like a borderline Hall of Famer. He's had a really good career, but I think it could have been so much better. I mean, he could have been one of those, you talk about him in the same breath as like a Tim Duncan in terms of power forwards. And now with like the injury trajectory of his career, he's really nowhere close to that. He's just not going to have, the minutes, the games, the accolades. And a lot of it, he could have been all pro, all star every year of his career. But he was injured. The few years he wasn't injured, or the 1 year he particularly wasn't injured in the bubble, he leads one of the most dominant defenses that year to a title. And in some ways, LeBron was obviously the leader of that team, but in some ways they certainly don't win that title without Anthony Davis and kind of the havoc he was causing for the opposing teams in the paint.
Right.
So it's sad.
And you know what, Matthew, for the longest time, as big as he is, as strong as he is, how well he does play basketball when he's healthy, I've never understood why he always shied away from the center position. He always wanted to do that power forward. I personally think he does good at the center, but he just don't like to play that. To me, he shies away from that physical bang, bang down low, and I'm going to muscle you out the way. He'd rather be a little bit kind of mid-range. He's more of a mid-hook jump shotter, but unless he has to, he does not want to bang down low.
And a lot of that's probably because he knows his body better than the rest of us. He knows how injury prone he is. Yeah. So a lot of that's probably self-preservation. But I agree with you, and I think it's weakened a lot of the teams he's been on. And it's not the fact that he's not great at the four, great at playing power forward, but when you play your best big man at the four, that means you have to play a less than great big man. Unless you happen to have two great big men on your team, which most teams don't have, you have to start a random, not as good big man. So like in the Lakers case, you'd have to start a JaVale McGee or a Dwight Howard because AD refused to play center, refused to start at center. So you're bringing less talent. So you could have your 3-and-D for, Trevor Ariza type at the power forward extending the defense, but instead you got to play JaVale, you got to play Dwight, you got to play
Right.
Andre Drummond. They rotated through big men during the whole AD era, and that puts you at a disadvantage. It puts you at a huge disadvantage when you got to play players like that significant minutes because Davis can't play the 5. And I watched a lot of those games. Of course, the couple years Westbrook was there, we know how bad all of that turned out. But I think part of why it didn't work out is Westbrook famously not a good shooter.
Yeah.
LeBron really not a great shooter. Some years he's better than others. AD not a great shooter. Those are all starters on those teams. Then AD refusing to play the 5, he plays the 4. Then you got to bring in another non-shooter to play the 5.
Right.
And so you've got so much lack of shooting out there with AD having to play the 4, especially on a team that had Westbrook and LeBron James.
Mm-hmm.
It was just never going to work out.
Right. Yeah. All right. We're going to switch over to my next point. And we talked about this last time as well. When I told you, or we mentioned, I said, I believe Tyrese Maxey is the new captain, the new star of the 76ers.
Man.
Joel Embiid is okay. He's good. And you got VJ Edgecombe that's helping, over there as well. But when we talked the other day, on January 3rd, Tyrese had 36 points, 8 rebounds, 6 threes, and a 131-19 win at MSG. Turnaround since we last talked, 29 points versus Magic, leading the Sixers to the 103-91 win over Orlando. And then January 11th, yesterday, 38 points versus the Raptors with 13 for 27 shooting, 10 out of 12 free throws, 5 assists, 4 boards. Is this man who they need to build around, or is it still Joel Embiid?
Well, I would keep in mind that Embiid's on a minutes restriction, or a kind of minutes restriction. So that game where Maxey scored 29 the other day, he played 38 minutes, Embiid only played 31. Then, of course, last night, Embiid didn't play. Paul George didn't play. And Maxey couldn't lead them to victory against the Raptors. And, of course, we were talking about the Raptors the other day and Brandon Ingram's resurgence season. Of course, he didn't play yesterday. Yeah. But Scotty Barnes got you 31, 8, and 7. So is it his season?
Now, Scotty Barnes is on a fire right now. Scotty Barnes is on fire, bro.
And it's good because, you got Ingram out. And so for Scotty Barnes to be able to step up like that and be like your co-star that can take the lead, that's incredible. But in terms of the Maxey thing, if he's the leader of the team, then he should be able to lead them to victory on the nights that Embiid is out. So it's one thing to call yourself the 1A when you still got Embiid out there on a minutes restriction, drawing attention. But on the nights when he's out and on the nights where Paul George is out and you have a winnable game against the Raptors, can you bring it home? And so for him to take that leap, and I know you want to say that he's already there, he's that 1A, he's that big dog, and yes, the numbers are there, but you'd like to see a win. On the nights where he's your go-to or he's your 1A, you'd like to see a win. And I think for now, the numbers are great from Maxey, and they need to be, with Embiid struggling with injuries and going to be on a minutes restriction and probably doing a lot of load management. I still think Embiid's your number 1. And I know you're going to be sending me the stats every time Maxey scores more points than Embiid, but I think what Embiid does to a defense and the way he breaks it down and is going to open up the perimeter and the driving lanes for Maxey, that's still the most important ingredient to a 76ers championship run. So the numbers are good. And, Maxey might end up averaging more points than Embiid. I mean, we'll see what happens throughout the year. But I think Embiid's the guy you need to be there if you're making a playoff run.
Well, but here's the thing, Matthew. So think about what I said. Embiid and Paul George are very important to the team to get there. But I use the word captain. I think he's the one that should be leading. Not only is he a point guard, but he needs to be leading when they be doing a huddle. He needs to lead while they're in practice. I think he's the fresh young voice they need to hear.
I think you want him to be stepping into that role. You want him to assert it at certain times.
Yeah,
But I think you'd like Embiid to be that guy. I mean, that's your franchise cornerstone. That's your big man in the middle. That's your MVP. Whatever cliche you want to use. I mean, Embiid is that guy. And so obviously you want Maxey developing those habits. Like you want him being a leader, especially on the nights Embiid is out. But I just am not convinced yet that he's that first voice you want to hear, first among equals. Certainly, even Paul George would have some wisdom from, 14, 15 years of a Hall of Fame career. And, Paul George at one point looked like the perfect basketball player. Kyrie, if he was 6 inches taller or 5, 6 inches taller. And so he's got a lot of wisdom to offer too. Of course, Maxey's your guy, or he will be your guy. So you want him taking that responsibility slowly but surely. But Embiid's still your captain. Embiid's the voice I want to hear first. He's the head wolf, or the head sixer. I want him being the captain of that ship. But I want Maxey, being there taking notes and, learning from the MVP, because at some point that will be his role, whether that's 5 years from now or whether that's 6 months from now because of injury. So I want him asserting himself, but I still like Embiid as the lead dog on that team.
All right. Well, let me throw this your way then. We're moving on to the next subject. Then we're going to talk about your Kings beating up on the Rockets. DeMar DeRozan had 22 points, becoming the 23rd player ever to reach 26,000 career points, and he controlled the mid-range and late clock situations. Malik Monk hit back-to-back threes early in the fourth that blew the game open and swung momentum. Classic high-energy bench impact. And Russell Westbrook. And what's the other guy? Precious. How do you say his last name?
Precious Achiuwa.
Yeah, Precious Achiuwa. He had a fourth. They had a fourth quarter layup after Monk's threes, pushed the lead to double digits, while Westbrook posted 15 points, 10 assists to keep the Kings' offense organized. What did you think about that matchup the other day? Being that you're a Westbrook fan, his number one fan.
I watched it from start to finish. It was a great game. And, Malik Monk has been out of the rotation. And, Sacramento fans don't know why, because there's a lot of players I think the Sacramento fans don't like that much that would like to see out of the rotation. I think Zach LaVine some nights is one of them because of his lack of attention on the defensive side. But the fans all like Malik Monk. He's a great player. His three ball is probably the most accurate on the team. He's athletic. He can get in the lane. He had a huge dunk yesterday. But he's been out of Doug Christie's rotation for a couple weeks now. So it was really exciting to see him get in there and really close out the game. That last 3-pointer he hit from the corner that was assisted by Westbrook, actually. I think it was a steal from Westbrook, then a sloppy sequence that ended up with Westbrook getting a rebound and swinging it back to Malik, and Malik draining the three. It was really exciting to watch. I think Westbrook did great in the role as the floor general. It felt like there was a certain point in the game where he was just finding guys a couple steps ahead of where they needed to be and putting the ball exactly where it needed to be to lead them. Where on a bad night, those passes would have been going left and right, and maybe it would have been turnovers. But he was finding his teammates. He found Malik for a couple big threes. He found Levine for a couple big threes. He's always feeding his big men, Precious and Maxey Reynaud. I think DeMar DeRozan, who throughout his whole career really has just been so incredibly underrated. But if you need a bucket from anywhere from like 14 to 20 feet with the game on the line, like you just cannot let DeMar get to his spots, because there's a point there's a point where he just doesn't miss that mid-range jumper, and it's just automatic, and he usually gets fouled while he's shooting it because the other teams respect it so much. Man, I'm just the Kings are such a poor team and such a mismatched team, but I'm consistently impressed with my guy Westbrook and being in the starting lineup, putting guys in a position to develop, if not to win. I think a lot of people would say Maxey Reynaud has developed a ton because of Westbrook's leadership. So I'm impressed by what Westbrook's done out there, and I'm incredibly impressed by DeMar, because You look at DeMar's numbers over the course of his career, and you see basically 20 points a game on 50% shooting on mostly jump
Uh-huh.
shots. But it doesn't really do justice of actually seeing it live and in person. Because I mean, there was a stretch in the second half where he was like 7 of 8, and there was
Hmm.
no layups, there was no dunks. It was just all get to the spot, 16, 17 feet, put a hand in his face.
Right.
He's gonna drain it anyway. So it was a good win for the Kings. You know, it's not going to mean much because they're a lottery team,
Yeah.
but more so a bad loss for Houston, who really
Oh man,
never
it
took
was.
the lead. It felt like they were down 3 to 6 points the whole game. Then when winning time came, they kind of fell apart. So I know there was that video the other day of Durant throwing down the water bottle on the sidelines.
Yeah, I saw that.
And with efforts like this, there might be a few more clips like that because at some points it feels like KD's the only guy that can get a bucket out there. And, you know, at some points, Amin Thompson is so dominant inside, but Westbrook was guarding him a lot of the night and just kind of letting him shoot
Yeah.
because those guys weren't making shots. Thompson wasn't making shots. Obviously, Şengün, you wouldn't expect to make those shots, but there's got to be somebody to fill in on those nights where KD can't get a bucket because it did not look good in the last 5 minutes yesterday.
All right, so let me ask you this. Do you think that the Sacramento Kings are happy with what Russell Westbrook is bringing to the team in lieu of them being 9 wins and 30 losses?
I think if the goal is to develop the young players, then the answer is yes. Because if we say Maxey Reynaud has been assisted 100 times, 200 times, whatever the number is,
Mhm.
Westbrook's probably 70, 80% of them. So if you think Maxey Reynaud, who before the season people thought, this guy's not even going to play this year, for him to be averaging, 8 points, 8 rebounds, whatever it is he's averaging, it's pretty much all thanks to what Westbrook's doing to feed him. And to a lesser extent, that goes for Neat Clifford as well. So in terms of like kind of lighting a fire under these young guys and having them produce at an NBA level, I think they're going to benefit greatly from this season, whether it's on the Kings or on another team. And one example I would point to is Denny Avdia. Denny Avdia was Russ's rookie in Washington. And Russ was always getting on his ass, telling him to shoot, putting him in
Mhm.
positions to score. And if he didn't go up, kind of yelling at him. And you could tell there was kind of there was a little bit of a mentorship there. Maybe not always to Denny's liking, maybe a little bit of an angry, mentorship by fire. But there was
Right.
definitely a little bit of a mentorship there. And if you look at what Denny's doing now in Portland, averaging like,
Mhm.
26, 6 and 5, just crazy numbers. I think a lot of that has to do with some of the lessons he learned from Russ in his rookie year. So the Kings certainly aren't happy to be 9-30. The fans aren't
Right.
happy, to have only lit the beam for the ninth time of the season. So obviously you're not going to be happy about that. But
Right.
I think in terms of the rookie development, if there's one slight positive of this season, I think Maxey Reynaud and Neat Clifford, their development under Westbrook and DeRozan will make them pretty important pieces for some team down the line, whether it's the Kings or another team. I think they'll end up being quality NBA role players based on what they've learned this year.
Got you. So just to give you a quick stats before we move on with the Kings this year, their averages. Zach LaVine is leading with 19.9 points per game, 4.3 rebounds, 2.3 assists. DeMar DeRozan, 18.1 rebounds, 4.5, and assists, 3.8. And Russell coming in third with 14.2, 5.3 rebounds, 6.9 assists. He's definitely leading in assists. And we'll just throw Malik Monk in there with 13.1, 2.7 rebounds, and 2.2 assists. So Russell Westbrook is really contributing. Problem is they don't have anybody that's averaging 25 to 30 a game, and that's where you see those top tier teams come in that's really dominating the league.
Well, Zach LaVine probably could average that if he was getting the run, but they're not going to give him the run because he doesn't play defense. Because, I mean, Zach LaVine's an incredible offensive player.
You going back to
But
this defense? Are you going back to that
yeah,
defense and
I'm
how
going back
that
to the
faded
defense.
down
Yeah. You can't have him out there because he's a traffic cone on defense. But I mean, he could probably average 30 points a game,
You
25
said
points a game.
traffic cone.
He, he's a traffic cone out there, man. But that's not my words. That's the fans' words. You go on King's Twitter on any given night, they're all saying it. Those aren't my words.
Yeah.
But the one you want to look at when you're looking at those stats is Maxey right now. Look at that, 11 points and 7 rebounds. And I think a lot of that, because early in the season he was struggling, and I think a lot of that is from the influence of having Russ out there with him and feeding him and feeding him and feeding him.
Yeah.
I'm going to look it up before next show how many times Russ has assisted him, because I bet it's 70-80% of Maxey's buckets. And so, not a lot of positive, not a lot of good stuff there, but we got a win last night. We beat KD. We beat the Rockets.
Right. Yep, man, they did. So 9-30. I mean, who knows? I mean, if they can turn around, that'll be great.
We're about to go on a 22-game winning streak.
All right, we're gonna move on to our next one here, and we have, let me minimize this. One that you talked about earlier before we went live on air was the Hornets beating the Utah Jazz by 55 points. That's just like ridiculous. So let me give you this: 150-95 with the blowout win over the Jazz. Every Hornets player who saw the floor scored. Let me give you these stats: Brandon Miller, 18; LaMelo, 17; Miles Bridges, 15; Con Knipple, 12; Musa Diabate, 10; Trey Mann, 20; Sexton, 15; Josh Green, 13; Ryan, 12; Grant Williams, 9; Saloon, I think that's how you say it, Tajane Saloon, 5; and Sion James, 4. Every player was scoring, was on fire. What did you think about that game? Because what were you saying earlier? Like they almost lost by the most points ever, like almost 58 or something.
So
But
I
they got it
randomly
back down to 55.
I watched this game. I had nothing to do the other night, so I put on the Hornets and Jazz, not knowing what to expect. I don't regularly watch either of these teams. And so the worst loss in franchise history for the Utah Jazz is 56 points. And at one point, the Hornets were up, I want to say at one point they were up 60, but I think maybe it was 58. And Walter Clayton Jr. hit 2 3-pointers near the end of the game. But if not for those 2 3-pointers from Walter Clayton Jr., it would have been the worst loss in Jazz history. They couldn't get anything. And the Hornets were getting whatever they want. Brandon Miller hit a couple threes. LaMelo hit a few of those crazy one-legged LaMelo contested threes. Con Knipple, this guy, I have not watched this guy. And he was...
he's a top rookie this year. One of the top ones.
He's a bucket. And then Diabate, solid big man, getting putbacks. They were beating the Jazz up, and it made me wonder, you think about all the talent. You think about all the talent on that team. Miles Bridges, LaMelo Ball, Brandon Miller, Con Knipple, Diabate. Why aren't they better than 14-25?
Talking about the Hornets?
The Hornets. 14-20. A team that can put up 150 on you. And
how do we know we don't have any more Terry Rozier type players on that team right now?
Well, they got he
you know what I'm referencing, right?
He was on that team for a little bit.
Yeah, and what happened? He got caught up in this scandal and being injured and bricking shots and.
I don't know anything about that. I don't know. I know he was on that team for a little bit though, but there was so much talent on that roster, and there is so much talent on that roster, and so many like 3-point shooters on that roster. It makes you wonder if a team like this, like if it's coaching or bad management or maybe a bad locker room. I just don't know why this team isn't like a back end playoff contender. It's weird to me that 14-25 seems a little bit low.
Well, Matthew, we all know this. Games are won by defense.
Mhm.
They're just won by defense. No matter how good your offensive is the other team is just as well and get lucky with their offensive shooting, it's a coin toss that night.
Well, to have a guy like Trey Mann on your bench who literally didn't play until the fourth quarter, and to come out in the fourth quarter and have 20 points, this is like your 10th man, the guy that doesn't play at all. Like, most of the night's DNP coach's decision. To have that much talent tucked away on your bench and to have that many at least quality names, if not quality players on your starters, yeah, I guess it's got to be lack of defensive effort. I mean, I was just talking about Zach LaVine. So, I mean, there's probably something to that, but it was incredible to watch. And look at this. You got to feel bad for this. Let me pull up this box score. This guy on Utah, they said it on the broadcast. Where is he? Cody Williams of Utah. His plus minus for this game was a minus 60. He was a minus 60. And I think at one point on the broadcast, they said the lowest plus minus of all time is minus 61. So if not for maybe one or two Walter Clayton Jr. 3-pointers, he would have gone down in history as having the lowest single game plus minus of all time. Wow. When you look at that number, it's almost unbelievable. It'll pull it up Cody Williams, and you look all the way to the right, you see minus 60. Wow. They were getting cooked in his minutes. That boy was getting beat up. They're looking at Cody like barbecue chicken when he was guarding him.
Right. So look at this. So when you look online, you try to look through the comments of the Charlotte Hornets fans, and they ask them going back to your point, what does the Charlotte Hornets need? And this is what most fans are saying. You tell me if you agree. Mm-hmm. Most fans are saying the team needs a real center, more rim protection, and another reliable floor spacer defender on the wing to move from fun to true contender status. What do you think about that?
I don't watch a lot of their games, but I wonder if they see Diabate more as a quality backup, because in the time I was watching, and I got his numbers up here, he's 6'10", 210 pounds, so maybe a little small for a 5. He's listed as a forward, but in the time I was watching, he was cleaning up the glass. I mean, he was cleaning up the glass and getting a lot of putbacks. They were calling him Moose on the broadcast. You got a guy nicknamed Moose. You think he's strong.
Is that saying much against Utah, though?
Maybe it's not saying much against Utah, but he certainly looked damn good against Utah. But if the sentiment is that they need a big man, then maybe they see Diabate, the Moose, more as a backup big, or maybe as a big lineup power forward, because he looked pretty strong in that game. He was cleaning up the glass. And I see here in his last 10 games, he's averaging 11 rebounds a game. So he might not be big enough. I don't know if the issue is at his post defense, but I mean, he was a glass cleaner, at least in that 55-point game. And, it was belt to ass, start to finish. Mm-hmm. I think in the first quarter, they were up 38 points. So, right. I mean, I tweeted out that I think the first quarter Charlotte Hornets could have beat the 96 Bulls.
Wow. Okay.
Them boys came out hot. Them boys were making threes. They were hitting layups like it was the layup line. Like,
right.
They look good. And that's going to be my new League Pass team. I'm going to start watching the Hornets because I had so much fun watching them put belt to ass on Utah that's my New Year's resolution. I'm going to watch more Hornets games.
All right. Well, there you have it. All right, boxing fans and basketball fans, we thank y'all for coming out, checking out our show. Man, we love when you come join in and drop those comments down below. Make sure you like, subscribe to the channel, and share our clips that we're putting out. Matthew, is anything you want to say before we sign out?
Go Hornets.
There you go. All right, until next time, we will be back Thursday, and we'll catch up with y'all guys later. We're out.